Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Bob Acarfia with a Hurricane Irene update for Thursday, August 25th, 2011. Just got the 5 p.m. advisory in, and here's what we have. We still have maximum sustained winds at 115. Minimum central pressure has been inching down ever so slightly late this afternoon. We're down to 950 millibars. Movement is to the north-northwest at 14. Here's the official forecast track. The National Hurricane Center during the day today has slid this ever so slightly west. This does put back into play across North Carolina, the Wilmington area, and even the extreme eastern corner of South Carolina now could get some hurricane force winds with this system, as this has slipped a little farther west now with the track and the models. It looks like we're probably not going to move this track much from here on out. Very little fluctuation, but I think this is really going to be the track that we're going to be seeing here with and the cone with a Hurricane Irene. And you can see right up, it's going to be one of those terrible tracks we never want to see, right up the I-95 corridor. We do now have the latest. We have from Ocean City, Maryland to Wildwood, New Jersey. We do have mandatory evacuations, as they are now under a hurricane watch through this area. I'm going to go over the watches and warnings with you in a moment here. Please, if you're under a mandatory evacuation, please heed the evacuation warnings and get out. This is going to be a serious storm. It's a large storm. As the National Hurricane Center has been saying, do not follow this exact line here. This storm is going to be very large in size. It's already has tropical storm force winds 300 miles from the center, and hurricane force winds about 70 miles, so it's a pretty big size storm. And again, here's the official track. Looks like Saturday afternoon, making landfall again near the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and then moving up the coast. Your worst weather for the major cities of Washington, Philly, New York City. That's going to be through the day on Sunday, and then New England would be more of a Sunday night, Monday endeavor for you guys. All right, so let's look at the satellite view here first. Actually, let me go over the watches and warnings, all the new stuff here. Here's the changes. We do now have a tropical storm warning for the coast of South Carolina from Andisto Beach northward to Little River Inlet. We have a hurricane warning now for the coast of North Carolina from Little River Inlet northward to the Virginia border. A hurricane watch now has been issued for the east coast of the United States from the Virginia-North Carolina border northward to Sandy Hook, New Jersey. This includes Delaware Bay, Chesapeake Bay south of Smith Point. And a tropical storm watch has been issued from the Chesapeake Bay from Smith Point northward and the tidal Potomac. Current hurricane watch and warnings there for you guys. So those are the changes with this advisory. Okay, let's look at the view here with the what's going on. Irene has passed over the island there in the Bahamas there, Abaco Island right here in the Bahamas, went right over it. They recorded a minimum central pressure of about 950 millibars. Looking pretty good, of course. Huge system. It really got larger today, which was to be expected. Squally weather coming in across southeast Florida. That'll lessen as we go through the night and into the day tomorrow. So the worst of the weather now you're getting here across southeast Florida. Some wind gusts with these squalls, 40, 45 mile per hour wind gusts. Again, nothing major. Pretty much really like a squally northeaster for the East Florida coast here. The heaviest rainfall across the Florida Peninsula will be from Central Florida to South Florida, and again, occasional gusts to near tropical storm force in that 40 to 45 mile per hour range. Heavy seas, high surf, some coastal flooding. Stay out of the water if you're not unless you're a surfer that loves this. Stay out of the water. So the expansion of the clouds here. A little bit of southwesterly wind shear here, and of course going over the Bahama Islands has just kept Irene in check today. We should see some good strengthening now between here and about, till it gets about east of South Carolina. Then we'll have more stronger southwesterly wind shear once we get towards the North Carolina coast. But we're going to have this little window of opportunity in the next 24 to 48 hours where some strengthening will occur. Still not the perfect setup for explosive strengthening, which is good. We will not see a Category 4 system out of this. Probably will hold around that Category 3 up until we get closer to landfall. Then we might slip back down to Category 2 at landfall here across North Carolina. But still, whether it's a 2 or a 3, a very formidable, large, dangerous system. We'll go to our next view here. The radar. This is the radar again, and here you can see the eye pretty visible here as it's moving north of the Abaco Island here in the Bahamas. This is the radar out of Miami. Some squalls coming through southeast Florida today, this afternoon, and these could be putting down 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts. And again, as this moves away to the north, your weather will start improving here across southeast Florida as we go through the nighttime and then into tomorrow. Water vapor loop, eastern United States. Here's this first trough here. Now this trough, again, I've said this a million times, it's not one of those big digging troughs that would normally, a lot of times you see with these systems, kick this out to sea. It's going to come through here. Excuse me one second. It's going to come through here, but it's lifting off to the northeast pretty quickly. It's going to leave a weakness here, and basically you see where Irene is right now. You can just kind of paint the picture, right? Just straight north here. It's a little northwest and straight north, and just like this, right up the 95 corridor. This trough's going to leave it behind. It's going to leave the weakness, and it's going to follow this weakness between high pressure here in the Midwest and our subtropical high here. I've been talking about that weakness for 7 to 10, over 10 days now, and here's where it's lining up right through here. Wind shear, as I was talking about. We don't have the anticyclone right over Irene. It's a little displaced to the southwest. So, you know, around that 10, 15 mile per hour southwesterly shear today, just enough that Irene didn't explosively develop today. Again, there's that chance once it moves away from the Bahamas Islands here, in the next 24 to 40 hours, you might see a little bit more strengthening, but nothing too explosive, and we'll stay in that Category 3 range. And then, like I said, might weaken closer to a Category 2, might just slip down into there once it gets closer to North Carolina. And here's that avenue right here, looking at the layer, it's the steering currents here. We have subtropical ridge here, Bermuda high, Midwestern high, Central Plains high, and there's that right there, and that's exactly where it's going to go. Models today, again, we've really come into good agreement. Really, everybody's on this bandwagon right through here. Consensus model is, let me see if I can update this, see if they've updated the with the new National Hurricane Center track on it. Yes, we do. Okay. So here's the new National Hurricane Center track right here. Just lies just east of consensus. GFDL is the farthest west. And then we have, you know, GFS and Euro right in here. So, and the National Hurricane Center track basically follows the Euro model and the GFS pretty much. HWRF is a little farther east through Long Island. But this really looks like it's going to be the track. You know, just west of the Outer Banks and then right up along the coast. And it's going to be interesting. Does it move a little farther west? And then really, if this does move a little farther west this way, it's a large enough storm, but eastern New England here would be spared the real brunt of the system. But if it just stays offshore here and keeps its momentum all the way up through New Jersey, Long Island, then of course New England would, and you're going to be on the eastern side as it is. I'm going to have my city by city forecast here in a minute of wind gust, what to see here. But that's what we have today. I don't see, again, much model shifting from here on out. This is going to ride right up the I-95 corridor. Really quick, Euro model, let's just run this really quick here. And again, right up the 95 corridor, good track. GFS has been right, Euro's been right on. GFS about the same. GFS is a little tiny bit farther east than the Euro, but pretty much they are pretty much in sync with this track again, near the Outer Banks, right up the coast. Just a very terrible scenario for all the major cities here across the Northeast. GFDL, again, still the western outlier. We'll see what happens, but again, I'm more of the, I think it's going to move a little east of where the GFDL is showing. And then HWRF has been the farthest east model here and has landfall across Long Island, and then through New England it goes. All right, so my impacts here, let's get back to the official forecast track here. Okay. And I'll have these on my website, in my blog. If you want to see what, I'm giving you some mile per hours of what the winds would be like in some of the cities. We have North Carolina Outer Banks. We're going to go from south to north. North Carolina Outer Banks. We're looking at about 65 to 75 mile per hour winds, gusts to about 115, 120. Virginia Beach, 60 to 70, gusts to 90, 95. Baltimore, Washington, probably 35 to 45 mile per hour winds, gusts to 60. Philadelphia, 35 to 45, again, gusts to 60. Jersey Shore, looking at 50 to 60, possible gusts to 90. New York City, 45 to 55, gusts to 75, 80. And then Long Island, 50 to 60, gusts to 90. And then Boston, 40 to 50, gusts to 80. Again, Boston, it's really going to depending on this track. If we move this a little farther inland, your winds could come down just a little bit from there. So again, if you're under mandatory evacuations, please leave. Have a plan. The worst of the weather, again, conditions will start going downhill across the Outer Banks of North Carolina come Saturday morning, and then through the day on Saturday, and then we're going to take this right up the coast. Baltimore, Washington, D.C., again, Sunday morning, conditions start going downhill for you guys. And then again, through the whole day Sunday, we're going to watch this come from south to north. And then conditions start going downhill through the Sunday morning hours across the Jersey Shore, Long Island. You're in for a long weekend throughout this area. And again, if you're under a mandatory evacuation, please have a plan. Either you're going to a shelter, moving inland with some family. Really heed the warnings of your local authorities there. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Robert, ACANFRIO. I have my blog on weatherunderground.com. Just look for Weather Guy 03. I'll be listing all these wind probabilities here through all the major cities. They will be in my blog. My next update will be tomorrow morning. Have a good night.